Howdy everybody. I'm here today to talk to you about a very serious and timely subject, and that is things that you can do to avoid suffering from heat exhaustion or heat stroke on the farm or the homestead. This is particularly important for people who are farmers and homesteaders. Why? Because we engaged in routinized behavior that we call chores, and many times those chores can take a couple hours to do. You have to feed animals, you have to bring water to the animals, there's many other things that have to be done, and they have to be done every day. When you're a homesteader, when you're a farmer, you don't get any days off. You have to be out there every day. The animals have to eat, they have to drink. So it's easy to get into a mindset that these things have to be done no matter what, no matter how I feel. And that can get you into a lot of trouble when you're in an environment where there's a lot of heat. Now, I'm coming to you as someone who has suffered from 2 episodes of heat exhaustion last year. Very severe. After the second one, I kind of woke up. I didn't learn after the first one, but I kind of woke up after the second one and I asked myself, what was I feeling before this happened? And I'm going to share that with you today because I'm putting up a chart here. This is a chart about heat exhaustion with some common symptoms that people, or signs that people experience along with heat exhaustion. The problem is that when you experience the things that are in this chart, it's basically already too late. You're in it. So I'm going to tell you about 3 things that you can recognize, and I recognize this from my own experience, that you can recognize before you get into the problem, which is really important. So the first of these is that you're out, you're working, you're going to feel sluggish. And I don't mean, they list fatigue in the chart. I don't mean that kind of fatigue, like you're really tired and you're going to fall on your face or something like that. No, it's just an overall feeling that everything you do takes a little bit more effort to do it. It's sluggishness. You're not quite there, and that's unusual for you. So if you always feel that way, then maybe it's something else. But if it's something that you say, wow, what's going on with me today? Why is everything taking such a big effort to do? Maybe you're in the beginning stages of suffering from a heat exhaustion event. Better get yourself out of the sun, into some shade, or in the house, take a rest, and then you can go back out. The second of these is similar. You'll be yawning. That's a physiological response. Your heart is beating faster. It's pumping blood faster in your system. You may not feel it. It's not like you have to have a pounding heart in your chest or something like that, but it's beating faster. And that means that the blood is not getting as much oxygen as it usually is. So your body naturally makes you want to yawn to get more oxygen into your lungs that can transfer into the blood cells. So yawning is a big one. You're outside, you're working, you start yawning for what appears to be no reason at all. It's not like you were up late last night watching a movie or something or whatever. No, you slept well, you have no reason to be yawning, but you're yawning anyway. Then that's a big sign that you're entering into a problem area. Get out of the sun, get inside. On the chart they list nausea, but before nausea, you're going to feel like a bloated feeling in your stomach, almost like you overate and you can't fit anything more in there. Even if you try to drink water, it's like your stomach doesn't want it. Got to get out. That's a big sign, because if you don't get out, very soon afterwards, if you force yourself, you're going to start vomiting. And that is a very unpleasant experience because it's going to be very difficult for you to stop. You're going to be uncontrollable vomiting. and you'll vomit up all the water that's in your stomach first, and then it's going to be dry heaves. You don't want to go through that. And it's kind of frightening when it happens. And if you're out in the field somewhere and there's nobody else around, it can be really frightening when it happens. So you don't want to you want to avoid that at all costs. Now, the number one thing that you don't want to do is compare yourself to other people. You don't want to say, oh, you know, Farmer Dan down the road, he works all day and he doesn't have any problem, and we're about the same age, we look about the same. Why am I having this problem and Farmer Dan doesn't seem to have it? Well, actually you don't know if Farmer Dan has it. Maybe he does and you just don't hear about it. But even if he doesn't, different people have different physiological makeups. If a person is a little on the overweight side, they're going to have a hard time regulating their temperature. Now remember, heat exhaustion, heat stroke. Heat stroke is even more serious. That leads to organ failure and can lead to death. Definitely don't want that to happen. But heat exhaustion, heat stroke are problems in the heat regulation of your body. Your body has a natural way to regulate heat. It has its own air conditioning system, and that's sweating. You sweat, the sweat evaporates from the skin, it helps to cool you off. Well, guess what? If you're in a humid area, the sweat doesn't evaporate, it doesn't cool you off the same way. So that can affect your ability to deal with the heat. You might have hypertension, high blood pressure. You might have diabetes. Any number of chronic conditions can also impact your ability to physiologically regulate your heat. And your age, if you're above 50 years, if you're below 10 years, either extreme, you can have a lot more difficult time regulating the heat in your body. So don't compare yourself to other people. Listen to what your body is telling you. Be aware of it. So what is the number one thing that you can do? Well, here in the tropics, where I live, we're 12.5 degrees north of the equator. Right in the zone of the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, where the rays of the sun are direct. They come direct. The ultraviolet radiation is at its strongest point. And in the northern hemisphere, North America, South America, Australia, in those areas, the sun is coming in at an angle, so it's not direct. So in the tropics, we have learned to adapt here. We respect the sun. So very, very rare to see people out in the middle of the day working in the sun. Instead, people here will get up early in the morning, work for 5-6 hours, and that'll be it. They'll work 6 days a week so that they still get in their full weeks of work, but they'll work 5 or 6 hours a day. So you need to begin to think in terms of what would I do if I was in the tropics? Because that's kind of the situation that you're in. You don't have direct sunlight, but you have extreme heat. So here's what you're going to do. You could very easily go on Google and simply put in what is the peak time of sun on any particular day. Now in North America, most people think that's around noon, that the sun is at its highest point in the sky. That's the peak time. The other thing you could do, because solar panel installation people, you could check with them because they have all these figures as well. They know every single day when the peak time is going to be. So you could check, but it's available online. You simply put in the area where you live and you put in the apex or the peak time of the sun. Once you know that, you can plan your day. You have chores to do in the morning. Your animals have to eat, they have to drink. Well, let's say that the peak time here, where I am here in Nicaragua is about 10:30 in the morning. It's not at noon, it's about 10:30. So you're not going to want to go out there at 9 o'clock in the morning and start doing your tours. No, you're too close to the peak time. So you're going to go earlier, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, so that you're finished by 7 or 8 o'clock. And you're far enough away from the peak time that you should be okay. The other alternative for working, now obviously you can't always do this with chores, but for other tasks and jobs, is to wait until the afternoon. Because if you do things in the morning, you're coming on the upswing. So the intensity of UV radiation, the intensity of the heat is going up with every hour until you hit the peak. After you hit the peak, it starts to go down. For example, our peak is at about 10:30 in the morning. We can go out maybe around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon and do work and know that we're on the downside. So every hour that we go past 2 o'clock, it's getting less and less and less. And that's a good thing. That helps to protect us. Now, you probably have heard about making sure that you stay hydrated. And being hydrated is very important. But it's not the be-all to end-all when it comes to dealing with this kind of heat. You simply can't expect that bringing a bottle of water out with you is going to protect you from heat exhaustion. It's not. You have to be replacing electrolytes. That is a very important thing. If all you do is drink water, chances are, and you keep working, you're going to be vomiting that water back up again because your stomach doesn't want it. So electrolyte replacement, and it can't be this candy kind of drinks that they give that claim that they replace electrolytes. Most of them are just loaded with sodium and glucose, and that's it. You need to go, what I use is something that I get from the pharmacy, and it's a pharmacy grade that's used for dehydration because of diarrhea or other things, extreme vomiting. It's used as a treatment, and it just doesn't have sodium. It has sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and a few other minerals that are in there, and that you need to replace electrolytes. It's extremely important that you're replacing electrolytes. But the most important thing is to simply get out of the sun. When you start to yawn, you feel a little sluggish, maybe you feel like a little bloated in your stomach, those are all indications that you're headed into dangerous territory. You need to stop working then and start going toward the house and go inside, cool off. Then you can go back out again and work a little bit longer. So finally, wearing a hat helps, but again, it's not going to prevent you from getting heat exhaustion if you're out in the field too long. Wearing light clothing helps to reflect the sun. That's going to help too, but again, it's not going to protect you. The thing that really is going to protect you is you paying attention to your own body, what your own body is telling you. And these three little things that I told you about are very important to keep in mind. Sluggishness, yawning, and a feeling of bloatedness. All in the context of it being unusual for you. In other words, it's not something that you usually experience. So, if you find these videos to be useful and beneficial to you, please click the like button. That will spread the video to other people who can benefit as well. If you like the content on the channel, please click the subscribe button. So with that, I'll see you in the next video.